enhancement journey for enlightened leaders. The profit enhancement journey for enlightened leaders has 3 phases: awakening, comprehension, and action. If you're not aware, then you can't actually recognise what's going well and what needs to change. 95% of our thinking is habitual. If we stay within that cycle of unconscious habitual thinking, we'll continue much as we are. It's a way of being which patently isn't working for many people at many levels, particularly when we speak of leadership. This was true before the pandemic, but even more so since then. As we move into a new era of consciousness, there are those who are getting a sense that there's something stirring, something significant, something more. It may be an awareness that your energy feels different, that you feel a heaviness, a discomfort. Many will try to deal with this by doing what they already do, harder and more often. But as Einstein tells us, it's madness to keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. It's like getting stuck on an endless roundabout, going round and round, where there are no signposts and no obvious exit onto another road. Fear and judgment, I don't deserve, I'm not good enough, clever enough, talented enough, act like blinkers to the signs which are there if you're open and aware. The result of staying stuck in the old way of being is clear to see. Look at what we're experiencing around the world: division, unrest, people pitted against one another, a sense of lack, poverty, and a fear of the unknown. There are those who recognise that things aren't working and are open and curious to find a different, a better way. They're looking for the signs to direct them to the exit off the roundabout, onto the trunk road or motorway. We're living at times of huge uncertainty, and this will cause many to close down and to retreat into their comfort zone. The reality is that the sense of security that it gives us within our comfort zone is absolutely an illusion. It's like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. It's important for those who are becoming aware that they recognise it's time to open up and embrace the limitless possibilities which are there. But to achieve sustained success, they must become comfortable with uncertainty. Rather than fear the unknown, it's time to be curious, ready to explore. Only then will they discover there is a different way, one which has the potential to unlock those possibilities in a way that the old ways of being have never done before. It's also important to recognise that there'll be days when it feels easy and others where you feel daunted or overwhelmed by the magnitude of the change. It takes courage, but you don't have to do it on your own. It's always easier if someone's there to help and support and guide you through. I know my clients need support to remind them to breathe, to ground themselves, to remember that this is a holistic process, that it's important to be kind to yourself. It's about being in alignment, your head, heart and gut. But it takes time for this to happen consistently. Understanding that with the new way of showing up as an enlightened leader comes the opportunity to leverage greater and greater levels of profitability in the broadest sense. The reality, I believe, and I have evidence to demonstrate that, is that if you operate holistically as a limitless enlightened leader, then the profits are bigger than money. They're about true wealth in terms of well-being, great relationships, a better quality of life, significantly improved levels of productivity, and of course, a positive impact on your bottom line. But they're also about having the satisfaction that you're making a positive difference to others and to the world we live in. Your wealth is the byproduct. It requires an awareness that if you start exclusively from the point of financial profit, then your profits will be very limited. However, if you start from a place of wholeness and enlightened, profitable leadership, then the profits, financial and otherwise, will follow naturally. It's vital that leaders recognise that everything starts with you. You are the arbiter of the quality of your life. Be aware, every word you speak, every action you take or not, the way in which you say or do it, and when you do it or say it, leaves a living legacy for you and others. If you have that sense that things are changing, shifting, and you want to make a positive difference to the quality of your own life and those around you, then it's time to take action. Time is critical. The second stage is comprehension. First and foremost for a profitable, enlightened leader is knowing what's your why. Being clear about your purpose at a personal and a business level, what you want to achieve and why that's so important. Because if you have clarity, then it's so much easier to communicate this effectively to others, and they in turn can share the message with even more people. It requires a shift, engaging at a holistic level. Knowing your why is at the heart of everything, but it also requires a clear understanding of your core values and what behaviours there need to be from you and others in order to ensure that those values are being honoured. It's these which act as the fuel to propel you forward even when things get tricky. Your why acts as a lighthouse, the beacon which keeps you off the rocks in treacherous seas, the fuel which keeps you going when you feel tired or afraid, the needle in the compass which stops you from getting off the path and getting lost. Your values, well, they're the ship you sail in. When you live in line with your values, the ship is sound. It can weather the strong currents and storms that life brings. When your values are compromised by yourself or others, the ship falters. It leaks and becomes unstable and is likely to sink. At a human level, stress, anxiety, depression, and physical illness are all the result of your values being ignored or trampled. Imagine there's a line. Above the line, you're living your true values. You're being the best version of you. There are times for everyone when we dip down below that line. The important thing is that you recognise it. Do you understand why you've done it so you can avoid doing it again? Do you deal with it and then get back above the line as quickly as possible? And recognise that other people are doing just that too. There's no blueprint. No one's going to give you a manual which says, day one, this is what you do and this is who you are. This is a voyage of discovery. When our purpose and core values are in alignment and considered consciously, you're capable of so much more. In the new era of consciousness, we need leaders capable of being the best version of themselves and of enabling others to do the same. When that expansion happens, each person involved will enjoy the benefits of up-levelling. And of course, this is an ongoing process. Profitable, enlightened leadership requires total authenticity. You have to walk your talk and recognise your strengths and areas for development. It requires you to have the courage and admit that you don't have all the answers, that at times you feel vulnerable, but that you have the courage to do that deep dive work that you need to do on yourself. Self-awareness is critical. Recognising where you have greater potential, that it's time to stretch and grow, when to wait and be patient, and when to do things differently. It's important to be honest, not brutal or destructive with yourself. It's for you to model the behaviours you want from others, for you to be a beacon of light for others. As you do, you'll radiate a vibration, an energy which attracts others to be curious and want to grow too. Your role will be to support others in their journey, to help them grow, and in turn for them to help others. First and foremost, as the profitable leader, you have to model the values, the language and behaviours you want from other people. Many leaders in reality train their staff not to think, but profitable leaders recognise that the true treasure in any organisation is the people who work in it. the collective IQ, EQ, experience, creativity, energy, enthusiasm, and it makes sense to harness their potential. Creating a sense of shared ownership for the why is hugely motivating. People will then want to make the best contribution possible. And when they're made to feel that their contribution is valuable, that they can make a positive difference, you're going to get the very best out of them, and they'll want to stay. Research has shown that this is the greatest motivation of all, far more so than just money. The result? Ongoing growth and development for all, staff retention, and greater levels of profitability. Effective dynamic two-way communication is a prerequisite at every level for profitable, enlightened leadership to work in a sustained way. Clarity of understanding, the sharing of ideas, creativity, solution finding, and celebrating success are dependent upon it. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a very good reason. Accountability is vital. Taking radical responsibility for your own thoughts and emotions, your actions, your words, and supporting others to do the same is so important. Encouraging every member of your organisation to see themselves as the leading professional for that role, whether they're the CEO, a team leader, the cleaner, or working in the kitchen. Ensuring that they understand what excellence means in the context of their role. To create a culture where everyone takes radical responsibility, and this requires high levels of respect, trust, and integrity. When everyone at each part of the organisation sees themselves as an ambassador for the company, whatever they're doing, whatever they're saying, however they're behaving, has a vibrational impact which translates into the outcome, one way or the other. Profitable, enlightened leaders ensure that the outcome is a positive one. The third stage in this process is choosing which path or lane you're going to be on. Are you going to be a leader, or are you a follower? If you choose to be a leader, it means forging a new path, having the courage to step into the unknown and to keep going forward despite there being lots of people who will be naysayers saying, "You're silly, what are you doing that for? Stick with the old stuff." It's the reason that it's imperative that you know your why. If you've started to open up your consciousness, when people say to you, "You're foolish, why are you doing that? What are you talking about?" you can then recognise, I know where I'm heading. I might not know the whole way there, and I might not know all the answers, but I'm going forward, and I recognise that what I'm doing is right. When you have a strong sense of purpose, and this feels right, it feels light. There's an ease and grace to it. It gives us confidence that even though you don't have the whole picture, that you know you're going in the right direction. When athletes come out of the blocks, they just go. They don't look around, they forge ahead, sticking to their own lane. They run their own race and recognise that momentum perpetuates motion. For those who are ready to be leaders in this new era of consciousness, it will require a strong sense of purpose and the desire to share it with others. This is definitely not a spectator sport. It will require high levels of integrity, compassion, and courage. Finding your authentic voice is really important, but at the same time, it's about owning the fact that as yet, none of us have all the answers. It's not about seeing yourself as right and everyone else as wrong. We're all on this journey of exploration and discovery. Ali Nicole, my mentor, talks about becoming the journalist of your own life. Start to notice your patterns of thoughts and behaviour. Some are very helpful, and others far less so. Start to observe yourself as if you were a journalist, but in a way which is constructive. This isn't about being judgmental. When you notice, you give yourself a choice. You can continue that pattern, or you can stay in the old lane, or you can choose to do things differently. Every one of us creates a container of beliefs about ourselves and the world. Our beliefs can be empowering, or they can limit us. It's our choice whether we remain in a container which is tiny and constricting like a goldfish bowl, or if we actively choose to have a container the size of a tank, a pond, or even the ocean. Life is about learning, and the most important lesson in life is to learn about ourselves. Are you limited by an old identity, or an identity that others have given you? Do you have the confidence to challenge old ways of thinking or patterns of behaviour which may have been helpful initially, but are now acting like a straitjacket because they've stopped serving your needs? It's time to divest yourself of those constraints, because it's now about asking yourself the question, how can I be my best self? How can I live my highest life? What am I doing on a daily basis to grow as a person, as a leader? It's vital that your first priority is to lead yourself, to lead your own life, to continue to grow and know the process is ongoing, because as soon as we expand, the world expands with us, and then it's time to go on to the next expansion, and the next, and the next. People who think that they've got to know everything before they get going will never get started. They'll procrastinate, get stuck, and get caught in the quicksand of trying. It's not about that things have got to be done in a particular way or a particular time frame, although there is a sense of urgency. Limitless possibilities and profitability are there for those who are able to become comfortable with, I know my purpose, but I'm not sure as yet how I'm going to get there. I recognise I'm on a journey and that I'm prepared to move forward. When you drive along a road, you can only see the short piece of road directly ahead of you. You just trust that the road will continue as you go round the corner, even though you can't yet see it. In the same way, on this journey to conscious, profitable leadership, you take the first step, and then the next, and then the next. It's best this is done with the same curiosity, capacity to explore, and joy that small children display when they're playing or exploring. I think that profitable leaders are not only able to do that for themselves, but they can engender that in other people, and they do it with eloquence and style, joy, awe and wonder. They're able to let go of the efforting and busyness. They know the difference between being busy and being productive. They recognise that when you're in flow, when everything's aligned, that when you're being a being and not a doing, that you're standing in the higher vibration of consciousness, it's then that magic happens. I think that the world is opening up in an amazing way, and we'll look back in 12 months, 2 years, 5 or even 10, and say to ourselves, gracious me, who would have thought that this possibility would open itself? I think if people want to be truly wealthy and profitable, and I mean that in the broadest sense, it's time to level up and to take action now. It's about making a start, taking that first step. So many people think, I'll do it tomorrow, or it feels too scary, I can't. They're like sheep, they're followers. And if that's you, then this isn't for you. I wish you well. This is directed at those with the potential to be limitless, profitable leaders, aware and ready to be in the advanced party. There are great rewards waiting for those who are aware and ready to take action, to be at the beginning of this shift in consciousness, to be in the vanguard. So if you've developed some awareness and you're ready to step up, know that I'm here to help guide you in that journey to profitable, enlightened leadership.